Is it worth learning all these prompting techniques, following hundreds of YouTube videos, trying to keep up with the latest models or feature releases, promise of replacing your entire team with some AI agent army? So I asked Claude to help me set up payroll for a small company of one. Seems like such a small task, payroll in zero, company of one. Surely AI can walk me through that without issue. Now, long story short, this actually spread across 2 conversations with Claude that we'll look into later, and ultimately it didn't get the tax filing to go through to Inland Revenue properly, and I did know that I had to come back and check on that task myself, but because it was such a small and low priority task for me, it kind of fell by the wayside, and ultimately I got a small filing penalty from Inland Revenue, which of course I sorted out later. But ultimately, this is all a bit embarrassing for me, given that I'm a technical person preaching and promoting learning to use these AI tools properly. Now, I hope that story tells you a little something about getting the real value out of AI tools, or sometimes not using AI tools. And spoiler, for me, I got much better value when I just rang my accountant and said, can you sort it out for me? They charged me their standard rates and it turned out to be much cheaper. And that begs the question, I suppose, is it really worth it? And the answer, I think, in most cases is no. Most of that is BS, but it's probably not for the reasons that you might think. So I want to change gears a little bit and talk specifically about Claude Code. The reason I want to focus there is because that's where I see most of the AI YouTube hype, replacing entire teams with AI agent armies and making a one-person trillion-dollar company and things like that. The issue is not the tool itself, which honestly is pretty incredible. I use it all day, and a lot of the claims honestly are also plausible. The issue that I have is it's just not realistic for most people, because getting value out of this tool or these tools really requires 2 things that most people are missing, and it's not learning to code. So the first side I want to talk about when you're going to design or develop or deploy some new piece of software or system for your business is the technical side. It's the obvious part. It's the architecture and design. I'm not talking about architecture like a house, but it's not dissimilar in that you need to make some kind of a blueprint of the types of components you're going to use, maybe where you'll host that piece of software, and a whole myriad of security decisions. My job in the last 10 years as a cloud architect has been exactly this. And it's not always been about knowing every single piece of technology intimately, which is simply not possible, but rather it's been about knowing a broad range of technology components and when you would use them. Because when a client mentions, hey, we want to achieve X, Y, Z, it will often trigger your brain and think, hey, I know what components to use there. Now, truthfully, AI has really shifted and changed this job role. So Claude and other AI tools now know a broad range of components and genuinely can bring architect level decision making and reasoning to these conversations. And honestly, for me, that complements what I do and helps me to do what I do a lot faster and oftentimes better. But it only really works if I'm able to give Claude a very clear picture of what I want, and I can also judge and review the work that comes back. And that's why I told the payroll story at the start, because I wasn't able to really verify and confirm and judge the work that I had done with Claude myself. That's how I got myself into a problem. And I would argue that for the tech side of these things, or the tech side of platforms, the real concern is security. Are you confident enough in your technology knowledge to verify the system design from a security standpoint? Would you put your business data in it? And would you be able to reassure your clients about hosting their data in your platforms? So the skill hasn't disappeared. It's really just moved up a level. I'd liken this a little bit to driving. So imagine you get into a Tesla and you tell it to go to your grandma's house, and you're aware that there is a shortcut to your grandma's house, but it's really only suitable for 4-wheel drive. And it crosses a small stream, and it's recently been raining, and your Tesla decides that it's going to go down this path. Now, because you're in the driver's seat, you're able to take over the controls and steer it back down the main highway to save the Tesla from driving through a river and essentially bricking itself. So that's the Claude Code side, but there is a second thing when it comes to creating some new amazing tool, and that's the actual idea itself, the knowledge in how to do something. And in this case, for most viewers here, that's going to be you and the thing that you want to build to work for your business. It's the knowledge that only you have about the way that you work. So this is why my story about trying to have Claude cut out my need for an accountant ultimately failed, because if my accountant had have built some sort of tool or used AI tooling to help them set up my payroll, then they probably just would have done it a lot better and a lot faster. Now, this is great news for most people, because it means that AI isn't coming to steal your jobs. What it does mean is that you can use and train and build AI tools or tools with AI to help you do your job a lot quicker and a lot faster. And I hope that all of my suppliers buyers are learning these tools themselves so they can give me better services. Let me just give one more quick example. Let's say that you're a tradie, perhaps you've got a flooring business and you've got an off-the-shelf job management software. Now it does a significant part of your business, but it's missing a lot of the stuff like uploading compliance to the government sanctioned tool that you have to upload your certificates to. There's the communications that you have in your emails or even your WhatsApp with your staff or your vendors or your clients that sit outside that tool. Now, because you know how data flows through your business and what happens when you onboard a new client or a new job, and you have that intimate knowledge, that's your power and your moat. Living in the intelligence age, we can now build our own tools to either connect the existing tools that we use or start from scratch and build something that suits our business from the ground up. Now, you might notice the contradiction or the elephant in the room a little bit about the fact I'm giving you the good news and all these things that you know and the things that you can build in the same video that I've been telling you that these AI tools are useless for most people and that there's one or the other side of it that you don't know. But don't worry, stick with me, I'll cover that shortly. So before we get to that, I just wanted to cover a little bit of what good and also what bad decisions look like when using these AI tools. And I'll start with the good and a little bit of context. So I have a task where I'm planning to close down our AI school community, where I used to host primarily resources for N8N workflow automations that I used to promote a lot on this channel. That's very much a technical task. The place where I'm moving it to is our company website, and therefore it's really in my wheelhouse. And with that context, I want you to have a little look at my Claude conversation, and we're jumping in a little bit here mid-conversation, deliberately so, because you can see Claude is asking me some technical or semi-technical questions about page indexing here for where we're going to put those resources, and also a little bit about one of the automations in particular. And I'm able to answer confidently, and this is more what I'm trying to get at, that I've confidently said no indexing because I know what it's talking about. I'm giving Claude a little bit of extra direction and context when it comes to specifically requesting that we use a new GitHub branch or new work tree for this work, because I don't want to have conflicts with other developers that are working on my website. And I've also told it about this automation here and how to get it from a private GitHub repository. And if this language and terminology is going over your head, that's kind of the point, because I'm using the tooling here to do a task that's within my domain of expertise. Now, I don't want to read this conversation out verbatim because obviously that would be boring and there'll be a lot of stuff that most people don't understand, but I do want to just scroll through so you can get a feel for the amount of work that went on, the sort of back and forth and the number of turns that have probably occurred here, and the amount of technical information that I've had to understand and answer and direct. And you can see this is relatively at the end here, and the work that was achieved was we did some sanitization of the workflows. We've ultimately deployed things to our website, so I'm now in a position to close school. But you can see here some more technical things, like in this particular automation, we cleaned up some authentication scopes. We have decided to store those files in blob uploads. That's actually Azure Blob Storage. We've had a pull request here, number 8. We've merged and deployed it. We've cleaned up GitHub branch and work tree cleanup, and we've stopped some dev servers. So that just sort of, I guess, reaffirms the point about the technical language that you're going to need to understand to get this done. Now, the obvious question and answer, I suppose, is, yeah, Kris, but we could just ask Claude to explain that. And yes, you can. And I do sort of advocate for that type of learning. But then comes in the question of efficiency. Is it your job? Are you the technical delivery person in your business, or is it your job to go and do the accounting or to go install a floor? And that's a real question. Are you the right person to be doing this? And we'll cover that shortly. Secondly, I wanted to show you what bad looks like. So if I just bring my Claude conversation onto the screen, and in preparation for this video, I needed to actually find those conversations. So I just simply asked Claude to find the IDs because they were no longer in my recent chats. And at the time, I didn't even know that I'd had 2 conversations about this. So you can see if I dive into the first one, it's actually pretty long. So I spent quite a bit of time trying to follow the instructions here. I think I even tried Claude and Chrome tabs to have Claude actually click and do stuff. And ultimately, we got to the end and I was sort of like, look, this is good. It shows that it's connected to my IR in the top right. The connection is active. So it actually thinks that we've done it here. But this is where I alluded to knowing that the filing hadn't gone through. When I refreshed the screen, the active connection was no longer there. So at a later date, I obviously came back and tried again. And in the last screenshot that I had provided Claude, it's still sort of saying, yeah, there's a problem here. And that's when I sort of put that to the back of the pile and I must have forgotten about it. But the point is here, that the bad use case is me having Claude trying to walk me through a process that I've never done. So I'm just trusting Claude to get me there. So finally, as promised, I want to reconcile this dichotomy of knowing the process, but not the tech. The AI tools being useless for most people when I know what I want to do, but I don't know how to do it, worried about the security of my business, or you've just got that sort of blank page feeling when you're staring at a blinking cursor thinking, where do I start to build my app? The good news is I believe you most probably are the right person to be doing the building of these tools in your business, especially if you're the founder or managing director. You're the one that knows the processes, the things that you're trying to achieve and how you want that business to operate. And I would say that's probably the harder and more valuable part nowadays, especially considering how big or how far that gap has closed in terms of technical knowledge with that AI tooling assistance. Although you really don't need to become a developer or even an architect to start to build these tools, I really strongly advocate and urge that you consider security, especially so guardrails when you're building these things, in particular when whatever you're building is starting to make connections to real applications or real data that your business uses, or when your POC or MVP build is moving towards that stage of going to be in production. And there's more than one way to achieve this, to make sure that you're doing the right things, particularly around security, but also around architectural decisions, just sort of building the right thing in the right way. The first one that I'm going to put forward to you is to partner with a company. And yes, this is a shameless ad for ourselves, because this is exactly what we do. On our managed AI founder tier, we have an option for you to build alongside us. We will guide you. We will put the security guardrails in place, review what you're doing, and make sure that you get the best possible outcome. And you're going to learn the skills so much faster with someone answering the specific questions that you need to know in parallel, as opposed to you going down the rabbit hole. And you'll gain that incredible skill that will see you through the economy in the foreseeable future. And I genuinely worry for people that aren't learning these AI tools today. And to balance against my shameless self-advertisement, there's a couple of other ways here that you can approach this. And one is to hire someone internally. So that previously, if you wanted to develop your own tool, the cost was just prohibitive. You'd either need an entire team of people or to partner with an expensive external development company. But honestly, now what you can achieve with just one relatively skilled or relatively talented developer is just day and night. So there's a really genuinely valid way now that you could probably just hire one person that can achieve all this for you. Of course, in that case, you're not the one learning the skill, but you may not have time to learn the skill. So that might be the best path for you. And finally, you could try just watching loads of YouTube videos, which, to be honest, is probably not the most efficient way to learn because you'll be jumping all around the place, and perhaps seek out a more structured course. But I would always advocate, if you're going to follow a technical course, have your own passion project to build. Don't just follow along the exercises they give you. You will lose interest and you will get bored. That's really all I wanted to cover today. In the show notes, I'll put a link to the founder tier managed AI that I just mentioned. But also, if you want to find out where you stand in terms of AI adoption and how it relates to your business, we've also got a scorecard that will give you some personalized insights as to where you are on that journey. It only takes a few minutes. I'll put the link in the show notes for that as well. If you enjoy this kind of no BS, not YouTuber hype AI advice, then please go ahead and like and subscribe. It makes a massive difference to me making these videos. Until the next one, have a good one.